I am coming to you with video 2 of the 4 video series on how to get started scrapbooking. So in this video, we're going to talk about the basic supplies that you'll need to get started scrapbooking, and I also will talk to you a little bit about some optional supplies. So on video 1, we talked about the albums and the sheet protectors. So you will need an album, whether it's a 12 by 12, 8.5 by 11, or a smaller one, depending on what your purpose is in scrapbooking. And then you also will need some sheet protectors. If you haven't already watched video 1, please go watch video 1, because I go into some length about the advantages and disadvantages of the different sizes. So along with your album and your sheet protectors, you will need a pair of scissors. So for me, I like to make sure that my scissors are kept sharp, and so what I always do is I make sure this pair of scissors is only used for scrapbooking, because after a while, if you start using it for other things, residue will get onto your scissors and will make it hard to scrapbook paper. You only need a pair of scissors, but I would suggest to get a regular size scissors as well as a small pair of scissors. Now the reason why you'll need the small pair of scissors is because sometimes you might want to cut out something small and something more detailed, so you will need the smaller scissors. It's easier to cut small items or embellishments with a small scissor than it is with a big pair of scissors. So you only need the big one, but I would recommend having both the large and the small one. Next, you will need adhesive. So I would suggest that you get some dry adhesive. So the dry adhesive is just that, it goes on dry, and this is how you adhere your photos or your paper, is with the dry adhesive. Now adhesive can come, there's different brands out there. The ones that I use and my favorites are Tombow. These are refillable. You buy the applicator and then you just refill it. So it comes right off. So this is the applicator here, and this is the refill. So when the refill runs out, you just easily replace that. Okay? Then there is the glue glider, also one of my favorites. This is also comes in an applicator, and then this is the refill. You just take your refill out, put it back in, and so you continuously use this. So these are my two favorite dry adhesive. I use this for photos, for paper, anything that is lightweight. Now if you're going to adhere anything that is not paper, then you're going to need some type of wet glue or wet adhesive. My favorites are reptile glue and tacky glue. When you are buying glue, you want something that says that it's fast drying. Because you don't, when you're scrapbooking, you don't want to wait a long time for it to dry. You also want a type of glue that says that it dries clear. Some glues will dry leaving a white background. You don't want that. You want a liquid glue that dries clear. So dry adhesive and wet adhesive. You will also need a marker to do journaling. Now, a lot of people don't like their own handwriting. I'm one. I don't like my handwriting either. You can type your journaling. Journaling is one of the most important things of a scrapbook page. You should say who's in the photo, what the year is, and a little bit about what happened at the event. Even though you don't like all your own handwriting. Every now and then, try and put some of your handwriting in, because your kids or your grandkids or whoever, down the road, when you're gone, they're going to want to know, oh yeah, that's her handwriting. And although you may not like it, to them it's going to be meaningful. So I understand, wanting to, being able to type it on the computer and print it out, you can do some of that. But I would definitely also handwrite some of your notes. So when you're buying these pens, you want a pen that is permanent and does not smear. Don't use a regular ballpoint pen or anything like that, because that will smear. You want something that is permanent and that does not smear. Smudge proof. Okay, next you will also need a paper cutter. So paper cutters come in a variety of sizes. So you can get a small one like this that cuts smaller paper and photos. This one's by We Are Memory Keepers. Again, I'm not going to suggest certain brands. I go for whatever's on sale, what's the best price, if I have a coupon. I also buy all my stuff at various places: Walmart, Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Scrapbook.com, Tuesday Morning. I scrapbook on a budget. So I'm not going to tell you you have to get this brand. Get what is not going to put you in the poorhouse. Okay, so again, this is a small one that's just for photos or small pieces of paper. And then there's also bigger ones for your 12 by 12 paper. Okay, and they have rulers that come out for the 12 by 12 paper. So it does depend on what you're going to be cutting. If you're only going to buy one, I would suggest you buy the bigger one that could do a 12 by 12 paper, because like I said, most paper comes in 12 by 12, and you'll need to cut it down to whatever size that you've decided to do your album in. So that's your paper cutter. Next, you're going to need some cardstock. So cardstock comes in basically two different sizes. So there's 8.5 by 11. Now cardstock is not colored paper. Colored paper is just like regular paper. It's kind of flimsy. Cardstock is more heavyweight. See, it's not as flimsy. You can get these from, again, Michael's, Hobby Lobby's, Joann's, Scrapbook.com, Tuesday Morning, any store that sells craft supplies. And price rise, I think they're like 25 cents or 35 cents. But you'll see that most cardstock that's 8.5 by 11, you can buy in packs, so it's cheaper that way. And a lot of times, Michael's or Joann's will have sales, so like 4 for $1, or sometimes when it's really good, you can get 10 for $1, or 10 for $2. So you will need some cardstock. Now, even though I scrapbook in 12 by 12, I do have some 8.5 by 11 because I use them for when I use my die cutting machine, or when I'm making titles, or when I'm using my punches. So you will need some 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Or, I also use it to mat photos. So I would definitely get some 8.5 by 11. And then if you are going to scrapbook in 12 by 12, you will need some cardstock that is also 12 by 12. This comes in a variety of colors, which, if you look down there, there's all my cardstock. So you'll need some 8.5 by 11 and some 12 by 12 cardstock. You will also need, if you want to, well, this is more optional. You don't have to get patterned paper. However, there are beautiful pattern paper out there, and it does make your albums look nicer. So there are pattern papers. And most pattern papers have two designs on, you know, on each side. And you can buy the pattern paper in sheets by themselves, or you can buy it in large packs like this, where it all goes together, all comes together, and they come in 12 by 12. They can also come in smaller packs, such as this 6 by 6. Again, same cardstock. These smaller sheets are used for when you're layering or matting photos. So that is patterned paper. Now, something that's optional to get started as well as the patterned paper is a ruler. I would suggest getting a ruler so that way you can line up things, or you can see how much more space you have left on the sides, or if you're wanting to mat a photo, how much more you need to cut the paper. I would also suggest a mat. I would suggest a mat that is self-healing. So if you cut it by accident, or if you're using an X-Acto knife, it heals itself. And you can get these at Tuesday Morning on a really good deal. I think I want to say like $10 or $12 maybe even less than that. I can't remember, it's such a long time ago. And then the other optional thing is all the nice stuff, or all the pretty stuff that you'll see on scrapbooks. So, and that's the embellishment. So the things that decorate your page. Because really, what you're going to need is your photos and the cardstock, right? That's what you'll see on your page. But if you want to design it and you want to make it look pretty, then you'll need some embellishments. So embellishments come in a variety of different things. There could be flowers, ribbon, rhinestones, brads, washi tape, glitter, stickers, die cuts. You can buy a punch and punch out designs as well. So there's lots of ways that you can decorate your album. But primarily you only need to get started is some cardstock and your photos and some adhesive. One thing that I will say is when you go out and start buying things, you're going to see so many pretty things out there. You'll see that once you get started, that scrapbookers become collectors, because we see all this stuff and think it's all pretty, and then we'll start buying things, and then we end up spending so much time looking through all the stuff that we bought that our time is spent doing that instead of actually scrapbooking. So what I have started doing is I only buy in collections. Brands already have designers who put things together for you. So if I buy the paper, then there are some designer out there has already figured out that all these pages go together. I don't want to. Why do I need to spend time trying to figure out paper that coordinates with it when a designer has already done that for me? So usually I buy paper And the paper comes with stickers. Not comes with, but there are. You can buy them separately, of course. Stickers and other die cuts that go with that collection. So I don't have to say, oh, is that going to match that? So that way I'm not spending all that time trying to see if things match up. So when you're out there shopping, make sure that, especially as a beginner, buy things that already go together, the same brands with the same collections. That way it will save you time later and stress later. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe below and come back for video 3, which is photos.